ignorant, but they are ruthless, hungry and in power again.
No, I just almost did the introduction for the Wonder Years just then, which is not how we start this podcast.
Sam does the Jurgen one every episode.
Yeah, that's fair. Humans and elites, your Cork Pajou and Tax on Judgment to find some earbuds. Welcome to Henry Kissinger is Pokemon Going to Die. I'm Sarah, aka Lindsey Graham Cracker.
I am Patrick, aka Podcaster Sakura.
And I am Caroline, aka Laura Chum Gang.
What? Repeat on, por favor?
It's like the Chum Gang, and you know Laura Loomer, who is probably currently still handcuffed to the Twitter building. So
No,
like
she
the
is
two
not.
of them.
She just cut him off.
After 4 hours.
Good day. Good day for her.
Being online breaks your brain, I think.
You think?
I know. The thing about Laura Loomer is that, like, I get kind of, like, whenever I look at people like Laura Loomer or, like, Ben Shapiro, I just, like, part of me is just, like, my brain goes full Nietzsche, like, gaze not into the abyss, lest the abyss gaze into you. Be wary ye who slays monsters, lest ye become one yourself. And I know I'm butchering that quote, so don't at me about it. I'm not Shidi Anagonia. I can't quote Nietzsche on command.
All right, so what's happening this week?
Oh, this has been a week. Actually,
More apocalypses
of
various scales.
It's been 2 weeks. So we took last week off because everyone was Thanksgiving except for the Canadians and Alex, and the Canadians were all busy doing other things, and Linus is in Thailand. So
Taiwan.
Fuck. God damn it. He's in Thai. I got the Thai part. I think I fucked that up on the podcast before. I have no misconceptions about, like, even where they are located. Like, I know that they are separate countries, but I did just, like, it's just Thai. I know that. So was there some headlines? I feel like there were some headlines that I wanted to talk about last week that we completely missed. So the Ontario PC Party passed a resolution to debate the recognition of gender identity, which fucking sucks.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah,
to me.
Basically, it is a resolution that would debate gender identity. I just realized that we don't have Craig in here, so I'm gonna get Craig in here real quick before I continue and before we lose everything. Okay, so what it basically is, in case you missed this headline, was that they are trying to make it so that, like, your sex is, your gender is what is on your birth certificate or your license or whatever kind of identification they give you up in Canada land. I know we don't all have, they don't have IDs like we all do. But, like, they wanted to make it so that your gender is just basically the marker that is assigned on your birth certificate, and if I'm not mistaken, it would also make it much harder to get that changed.
Yeah.
Which sounds great.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think this comes, like, hot on the heels of that thing that somewhere in the U.S. announced. I can't even remember at this point. Where basically, like, you'd be, for lack of a better word, stuck with whatever your assigned gender was unless you had, like, demonstrable medical and psychological evaluations or whatever.
Oh, great. That's just incredible.
That was the Trump administration, like, a leaked plan on what they were redefining an Obama-era ruling on gender identity.
Right.
Yeah.
There's literally no reason. It's just to be cruel. There's no reason for it.
I don't know if either of you are aware of this, but until very recently, at least in my state, I don't know how true it is across the country. In order to get, like, a letter of recommendation from a doctor to get, like, hormones and get started on, like, the medical process of transition, you needed to spend a year living as the gender with which you identified and wanted to, you know, be identified as legally and to start the proceedings medically. Yeah. And, like, we got out of that up here in New York a couple of years ago, about, I couldn't put my finger on it, but a short while ago, probably in the time when I was in college, but it was recent, and it's just a walk back, and that's just a fucking, like, I can't imagine having to have had, like, I can barely imagine the idea of living full-time as a woman now, and I've been on hormones for a year, and, like, I'm about to come out at my work, and it's terrifying to me, so if you can send me your energy swords, I would very much appreciate them. It's just a fucking terrifying thing. But, so, yeah, thanks Douglas. Thanks, Doug Ford.
There's absolutely no reason for there to be so many massive time and money, especially money hurdles, for just basic human dignity for trans people. Is absurd.
I mean, hey. Another story from, we're kind of just breezing past the stories from last week because it's been a while, and I want to cover them, at least some of them, but I don't want to spend too long on them. Mm-hmm. The Betsy DeVos sexual harassment or sexual assault stuff. Did y'all hear about that?
Yeah. Briefly.
Yeah.
But,
So Betsy DeVos wants to give. You know how when you ever had that thing happen where you get accused of sexual assault and then no one wants to listen to you. And then you just kind of get put away in jail forever because someone said they sexually assaulted you.
You know, the classic...
That thing that happens?
The classic prank, the loophole in our legal system where you exist as a woman and accuse a man you know of sexual assault, like, as a bit. So he immediately goes to jail for the rest of his life as a bit. That's, like, a pretty good prank to do to somebody. Because few people know this, but if you accuse a man of sexual assault, that's automatic conviction. You can just, like, say the words out loud and the police will automatically show up. They're probably listening through Alexa, who knows. But yeah, it's the one law where there's no trial whatsoever. You just go straight to jail. You don't even have to file charges.
And you do not pass go, nor do you collect $200.
No.
You just go straight to jail.
Usually you get the $200.
Yeah.
Getting death threats and having to move as a social experiment.
Yeah. So DeVos wants to make it so that the accused has a bigger right to fight back on a legal front, which is just fucking like
because
the
reason why is because she's explicitly been meeting with a bunch of fucking MRAs ever since she's been in office, like literally MRAs, which is good.
So this is a bit of a weird topic to bring up, but I guess I'll broach it because this is about sexual assaults happening on campus. I'm just going to talk about... I may have talked about this before. I genuinely don't remember. But I was at one point on the receiving end of one of those much talked about that happened all the time. I was on the receiving end of one of those extremely rare false sexual assault accusations. It was never taken to like any legal means. It was just kind of discussed online. Like I was not like the authorities were not contacted. My campus was not contacted. Speaking as someone who's been on the receiving end of one of those, it's complete horseshit and literally never fucking happens. Like, it's happened to me, literally never happens. Ever.
Yeah.
Especially, like, bringing it to, like, the police, no. Never happens.
I am smiling serenely, imagining a world where bringing... even just, like, saying, like, this person assaulted me to the police, like, having that result in like at least investigation, let alone bringing like evidence of that to the police and the police like responding in some fashion instead of asking what you were wearing, stuff like that, and like letting a million billion untested rape kits from hospitals sit in warehouses collecting dust and spider webs.
The only other headline that I remember, if you guys have anything else to say, stop me from moving on.
I mean, there was the Tumblr.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. Because
I missed whatever this is.
So, Tumblr got removed from all app stores, like the Google Play Store and like the App Store, because they had a problem with people with child pornography and pedophilia on their website that they just didn't fucking deal with. There was also a rumor going around that it was like caused by bots, and like people with porn bots and people with porn blogs were getting like diagnosed with porn bot and like being deleted. But what it actually was that Tumblr just doesn't fucking do anything about like the pedophiles that they have on there. And so Apple and Google Play were just like, I diagnose you with pedophile, get off of my store.
Yeah.
But
Oh my
so
God.
Tumblr, in an attempt to get back on there, on an attempt to get back on those app stores, Tumblr did nuke a lot of blogs. Like, I know people firsthand who lost their like porn blogs, and like I know these people. These people are not like drawing or engaging in child porn whatsoever. It's just like adult titties that they draw, and they got murked completely. But it did catch some people in the crossfire, which is extremely funny to me because finally, after 10,000 years, the terrible scum fuckers of Roach Patrol and Shadman are off of Tumblr because they have been diagnosed with pedophile.
Okay, I recognize the latter name, and that guy's literally an actual like convicted. He did like sex crimes in Europe, and then he draws child porn all the time. And he's literally a pedophile.
Remember when
right?
he drew
explicit hardcore child porn of like real
Remember when
children.
he drew Keemstar's daughter?
Yeah, that was a lot of kinds of fucked. It was very bad. And Roach Patrol is a similar scum human.
Scuzz fuck.
Like, I don't think they made it.
I don't think they made it,
to my recollection, but they
definitely
were like
indulged.
A big fan of it, which, hey, cool website.
Cool website. But anyways, so rest in piss, Tungle.hell.
Tumblr Delenda est.
Tumblr hasn't been good since the one night that everything broke and people were shit posting on like a galactic level. Like,
What was
That was
that?
so good.
like that night time travel, like that was a day that like in 20 years there was going to be a day when it's like, wait, Tumblr is like acting like it was back in 2014 because those like somehow someone from the future inserted Tumblr code from then that let people shitpost at an advanced rate. It was incredible, and I will never forget it as long
I
as I
was
live.
definitely on Tumblr like all the time in 2014, but I don't remember what.
You don't remember the night the Tumblr exploded and everything?
Oh,
like,
it was. They
everything
broke
became
something.
hackable.
Yeah, they broke something on the back end that basically allowed you to edit like any feature of a post, including like where text appeared on the page and how big it was. So it was just a total clusterfuck.
I remember
Like
the
there was,
night.
I just remember seeing one that was like. Like I remember seeing like I don't remember exactly what it was like for example I think I saw like the word like big rat on like the top of my screen when I refreshed, and then I scrolled all the way down and I saw a blank post that was like, here comes or welcome to my bear with a big fuck house.
Oh man, it's really.
I have to include a link of welcome to my fuck house.
Oh, I remember the Big Bear like "Welcome to my fuck house" post, like screenshots of that, but I wasn't on. For the actual night. Okay.
Oh yeah.
No, I was gonna say I remember the night where the Neopets.com Neoboards chat filters went down and people were like posting the entire script to B movie and stuff. It was good.
Yeah, it was similar.
But anyways, that's last week's news. Y'all mind if I start this week's news with a little bit of a softball before we get into the bigger stuff? Because I kind of want to talk about the GamesDoneQuick stuff before we.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want to really say that for the end because that's a bit of a downer and I'm going to be angry about it. But so what? If you're not familiar with what happened, two speedrunners, I believe it's Grey White Goose. He doesn't deserve to have his name said correctly, but what the fuck ever. And I believe Graviton. Were found like there were screenshots found of them in some discords. Posting Jordan Peterson and talking about how good he is, talking about how women are secondary in the world biologically, and just dropping a shitload of slurs. And then those screenshots came to light, and then 3 hours later, GamesDoneQuick somehow launched like a full investigation that time, and basically just said, "We're not doing anything at this time. Thank you for your time. Bye." And then after a shitload of outcry and a ton of legwork from people who were being targeted here, specifically a lot of legwork from women and specifically trans women, the GamesDoneQuick was just basically barraged with evidence because, admittedly, I will concede this small point. Discord screenshots are pretty easy to fake. I can't argue that. But the thing is, like, I know, like, for example, my friend Liz, a great speedrunner, by the way. Liz, I'm just gonna plug her Twitter @_Liz Star_. like Ristar the game, but with underscores around it, and it's Liz. Liz did some digging on her own and managed to find like pretty much everything they would have needed to ban this man full sail. And she took 20 minutes to do it. So about an hour and a half later, GamesDoneQuick updated and was like, okay, we decided to ban these guys. And so this is where it should have ended, basically. Like, I was kind of soured on the whole thing because GamesDoneQuick, to me, as a speedrunner, has been kind of like this ultimate goal, this is like the top of speedrunning until speedrunning goes on ESPN2. I mean, that's how fighting games started getting on Sports Network. They were on ESPN2. And, oh, God. Sorry, I'm getting off on a really big tangent. I'm not going to bring that story up. But anyway, so GamesDoneQuick, I was kind of miffed about it, but I was like, you know what, I'm glad they made the right decision eventually. It's whatever. And then the director of operations of GamesDoneQuick, one Mr. Matt Merkel, decided to hop on Twitter and start basically cry typing about how bad he felt that people assumed that that GamesDoneQuick was going to let Nazis in, and transphobes into their event. And he was like, why don't people trust me? I can't believe this. Why wouldn't anyone trust me? And like, giant thinking face emoji. Yeah. Glowing eyes thinking face emoji. Because if you're not familiar, GamesDoneQuick has some of the most, has just like, the thing about speedrunning is that like, I've been in the speedrun community for about a year now. I would say about maybe like 60 to 70% of the speedrunners 60 to 70% of speedrunners are good people. Like, they are cool people. And then, but the thing is that GamesDoneQuick's audience is not speedrunners. Like, their audience is like maybe 80% gamers, with a capital G gamers. Right. And their audience is fucking shitheads.
Yeah, as gamers are wont to be. Yeah,
as gamers tend to be. But so there are, like, you know, there's a whole history with the Twitch chat. Twitch chat is always a dreg of humanity, but like the GamesDoneQuick Twitch chat is always garbage. Like, they've even made it to a point where where it's in permanent sub only mode, which means you have to pay $5 basically in order to be able to chat, and they're pretty liberal with the ban hammer. But people are still spamming like emotes of like, I don't know, say a man wearing a wig and fake boobs whenever a trans woman appears on screen, which is very funny and epic if you ask me. It's extremely epic and funny, and like GamesDoneQuick has like had targeted trans runners just get a ton of targeted harassment. Like, fucking Proto Magical Girl got doxxed during an interview she was doing a couple of years ago. Like, it just fucking happens to the trans runners. So to think that GamesDoneQuick would be a little bit loose on these punishments for people who are being transphobic, I mean, it's not like there's a pretty big history there. But Matt Merkel took it to a further extent, which was when people started saying, dude, you have not given us a reason to trust you. He said, what do you mean? I have done nothing but, and then he basically said, if you are not nice to me, I will not fight for LGBTQ rights at GamesDoneQuick.
That's he also being an ally's about.
Yeah. Also, Proto Magical Girl, absolute fucking powerhouse, one of my favorite speedrunners, and I don't say that because she is a friend of mine. I say that because Proto was already one of my favorite speedrunners before I realized, oh, Proto is a Rochester native, and like before I became friends with it. But so Proto was like basically just said in Matt Merkel's replies, it said, you have let a sexual predator attend GamesDoneQuick, a known sexual predator, and Proto specifically said at least one, because it suspects more, and I mean, I'm inclined to agree with some of the company that they keep. And Matt Merkel's response was, that's an issue for the police. We can't do anything. Now, that's bullshit. A, bullshit. B, bullshit. C, they banned a guy for getting people to tweet too much at Air Canada and saying fuck on stream too many times. Granted, this guy Bonesaw, he did deserve the year suspension, because if you can't keep a PG-13 on a PG-13 stream, if you have proven that you can't do that, you don't deserve to be on it. There was a weird outcry about that. But like, they have banned people for things that are literally 100% legal, like, to do as a person. And they can't ban someone.
Tweeting at Air Canada 1,000 times is illegal.
It is. You probably shouldn't do it, but like, it's fine.
You should.
Yeah, fuck Air Canada. I have no idea if Air Canada is a good. Anyways, the point is, they could have done something about this. They could have done something about these people. Like, there are, like, people who, like, it's just, there are countless bad people who have been to GDQ. Evidence has been presented to these people in charge, and Matt Merkel specifically, and it has been completely ignored. These people have gone on to represent GamesDoneQuick on the stream shortly after these allegations were presented. No investigation, no fucking nothing. GamesDoneQuick is, I think, the committee is largely, the committee in charge of it, largely good people. Matt Merkel can suck farts out of my fucking ass. Because he like jumped into some of my replies. Like, someone was like, this is not a valid reason, dude. And I was just like, dude, stop posting. You're already digging. And his response is basically, why don't you want LGBTQ to succeed?
Wow.
Shut the fuck up.
Extremely good.
So, I mean, well, this is probably developing as it goes. So, you might, by the time of this recording, something may have happened. But, so yeah, fuck Matt Merkel. I hope GamesDoneQuick. I hope he at least issues a public apology for all of that dumb bullshit that he said. If not, steps down from his position as director of operations. But I don't know if that's going to be a thing that can happen because because he's basically acting chief right now, because the guy who's normally the chief is out on medical leave. But that's a big digression. But if you want to watch some good speedrun marathons, upcoming is the Power Up with Pride Winter Marathon, which is a marathon that donates to charity the same way that GamesDoneQuick does, but it's to LGBTQ focused charities. There are some big names going to be there, including the one and only Grand Pooh Bear, who is a great Mario runner, a Mario Maker player. I really recommend checking out his videos and stuff. And a whole, like, a Princess Proto Magical Girl, that's her Twitter handle, I got that confused. Like, a whole raft of really good people are going to be at Power Up with Pride Winter. Also, Lake Effect Warning is a Rochester-based speedrun thing that I might be participating in, depending on if one of my runs gets in. Either way, you should tune in to watch Lake Effect Warning, because everyone in the speedrun Rochester community is really fucking good and really fucking, like, funny and great on camera, and I'm really excited to watch that event.
All right.
So I went on that for way longer than I expected.
It's all right. So let's get into some of the other news.
Welcome to hell.
Michael Cohen earlier this week pled guilty to, like, lying to Congress about, like, Trump's involvement with, I think it was like a Russian zoning authority, because he wanted to build another one of his enormous shitty buildings somewhere in Russia, and there was, like, some worry that he was, like, colluding, quote unquote, to, like, get permission to do that. And Cohen basically just said, yeah, I lied about it, the president lied about it, oopsie doodles. Like, it's a pretty simple story that I don't think is really going to surprise anybody. Basically, just that the lying shithead worm continues to lie and be a shithead worm. Like, that's kind of all there is.
It's just
about
like,
it.
I can't help but think about that tweet, and I retweeted it today. But it's just like, can't wait. I can't see Donald Trump wiggling his way out of this one. Donald Trump wiggles his way out of this one. Well, nevertheless.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think, nevertheless, to myself a million times a day.
Yeah, nothing's gonna come of it.
There's also that tweet of, like, the skeleton looking out the window that's like me waiting for Donald Trump to be held accountable for literally anything.
And also the bot command we have in our Discord that is a screenshot of just 0% chance of Democrats win.
God bless you. God bless you, Brooksbot.
Yeah, so that was that. I'm sure in the coming few days, probably some more details will spill out about the various crimes that our good President Boy has committed. But until then, that's what we got to roll with.
We will sit and wait and smile serenely when nothing happens.
And he wins again in 2020.
I've said this before, but, like, no matter how many skeletons Trump has in his closet, like, I every day I become more and more convinced that he could like on camera open a closet full of skeletons and be completely fine. Like, I grow more and more convinced of that every fucking day.
Like a comedy avalanche of skeletons. Like, there's
Like,
no way
make
that
xylophone
skeletons
noises.
can fit in that volume of space. They just keep flowing out like a waterfall.
Zobonemafoo? Is that anything?
What?
Yeah.
That's comedy. That's jokes. So
Speaking of, no, that's bad. That was going to be in poor taste.
well, we had some good news out of this. We had some good news out of the Senate today, right? With that vote about Saudi Arabia, Yemen.
Yeah.
No, was it,
so
I thought there was a vote about Saudi
Yemen
Arabia.
was yesterday, I want to say.
Okay, yeah, and then there was a vote about Saudi Arabia today, and I remember reading the same article about the one. Okay, go, Patrick, you go, and then I'll go.
Yeah, so the Senate yesterday, I think, voted, I think it was 67 to 33, or maybe 63 to 37, one of those numbers, to end the support for the Saudi-backed forces in the Yemeni civil war currently, which is a huge win for, not killing children, not starving people. It's the Yemeni civil war has really been like one of the biggest humanitarian crises in living memory. So it's really cool to see that even a handful of shithead Republican senators are like, hey, maybe we should stop that. Not to give them like any credit, because they absolutely shouldn't have even gotten like involved in this in the first place. But at least it's ending sometime in the near future.
One of the shithead Republican senators who did vote for, who voted no on the "we should stop bombing school buses in Yemen" resolution was Cindy Hyde-Smith, who we will get to later. So stay tuned.
So what was this other Saudi Arabia vote? I may have been confused. I think I misread the article about a vote on Saudi Arabia. It was an article that talked about both the Yemen vote and the Khashoggi brief. Okay. So let's talk about the Khashoggi briefing.
Yeah.
So who was it that said, I cannot fucking remember names because I just have a mind like a sieve. Who was it that said the Khashoggi brief is not worth listening to if you can't speak Arabic?
It was John Bolton.
Thank you.
Who I think is our national security advisor, an enormous war hawk, and will not rest until Iran is a crater.
Did he say that he has not listened to it, by the way? Or did he say that it's
not
worth listening to?
I'm pretty sure he said he either didn't listen or listened but didn't speak Arabic, so took nothing away from it. Either way, like, hey, cool person to be in charge.
I mean, to be fair, languages are very hard, and to find someone who can speak that language on absolutely zero time restrictions, given the infinite amount of time and space you could ever want, it's a little bit hard to find a translator. I'll be generous to Mr. Bolton, to Mr. Dr. Sir Scientist Bolton.
No, I mean, but here's the thing. There's literally no way that the national security arm of the White House apparatus doesn't have, like, a translator on hand.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, and, like, there's no way that John Bolton even cares. He really doesn't give a shit about like what actually happened. He's just gonna look for the little details he can nitpick to wage his bizarre genocidal zealous war on the Middle East, because that's like his purpose in life, is to just cause as much death and human suffering as is possible.
Yep.
And he works for the government.
Anyways, a lot of senators were fucking pissed as hell because the CIA briefing about the Khashoggi murder was kept from them entirely. Mm-hmm. Even Lindsey Graham, everyone's favorite, everyone's second favorite, very red man with yellow hair. He was extremely explosively mad at our wet president about this.
Yeah, I guess that's his new thing now, is just being mad online.
Yeah, he's a very angry boy.
I mean, if there's one thing I love, it's an old yelling man. That's all my favorites right there in a list.
Yeah. Y'all want a bit of good news though?
Sure.
The Thomas Farr, the guy who was nominated for the district judge in North Carolina, Republican Senator Tim Scott said, "No, fuck that," and that basically ends the nomination.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, yes. Small, because I mean, he had supported a lot of measures disenfranchising African American voters, which is that's just the soup du jour lately, I guess.
Especially in South Carolina.
Oh,
North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina.
I just mentioned it because this guy was in the specific, very precise targeting of African American voters in North Carolina, just couple years ago, that big case that was in the news where it was just very
right,
glaringly obvious what they were doing and how they were doing it. But I think the map got the map was there was one ruling that said this was ridiculous and race motivated and you guys can't fucking do this, but then somebody overturned it or something like that. I don't remember. I'm sorry. Whoops.
It's in the
It
past.
happens. We are all Swiss cheese brain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we talked about Laura Loomer chaining herself to the Twitter building.
Go ahead.
So, in the continuing story of the pivot to toilet, Mike.com just laid off a shitload of their staff with very little warning.
I saw that. This is just gonna keep happening because.
Oh yeah, this has been happening since like 2016. I remember I can't remember who it was, but I remember hearing about I remember on an episode of the Besties or something when they were still doing monthly, they talked about some company just losing half their employees because they had pivoted to video, and then,
In regards to the Mike layoffs, I saw an anecdote on Twitter today from someone who I think still has their job at Mike, but they said a new member of my staff just started work 3 days ago and just moved to NYC 3 days ago and just got laid off today after moving to New York City for this job that they had for 3 days.
Because the thing about video online is that, especially in the last couple years, it's been getting increasingly hard to monetize, which has led to all the bad shit with YouTube, Facebook's whole video embedding theft thing, and the death of Vine, among others. It's just always going to be more profitable to throw up 100 million ads on a print website article instead of placing a few mid-rolls in a video. It's just always going to net more.
I do remember seeing something at least part of the whole mass rush with all of these media websites doing the dumbass pivot to video thing was that view counts were kind of being inflated on
massively.
Facebook.
Oh yeah,
massively because it would automatically count scrolling past it as a view, so people would think that's where the content was, and then fired everybody. Yeah, it's disgusting, not good.
Yep. Here's something that I didn't see until just now, but the United States Environmental Protection Agency issued a news release titled "Fact Check: Obama Administration pushed quote worst case scenario quote in climate assessment." Sorry. So in which they cited the Daily Caller.
Daily Caller. Oh my God. Yeah, I saw that.
The thing about the worst case climate scenario is that we live in it. Is that it's worse now. We know it's worse. The worst case of a year ago is the best case today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst case now. Oh God, I don't even want to think about the worst case. I sort of have to keep the veil of willful ignorance on at all times regarding climate change, because if I think about it for 10 seconds, I just fall into a depressive spiral, smoke a shitload of weed, and go to bed.
The worst case is already happening. We have 12 years.
Please, Caroline, I can't get high on the podcast.
No, but it's literally if yeah, okay, I won't. I will not lift the veil.
Don't make me do it. Don't make me get back on my bullshit.
I will prevent you from getting back on your bullshit.
But anyways, yeah, they did cite the Daily Caller, that scientific news journal.
Powerhouse.
What's that?
I know, we all know that Fox News and Daily Stormer have essentially the same viewpoint, but Tucker Carlson, or Daily Caller specifically, is the middleman in that pipeline of white genocide, conspiracy, Nazi,
an explicitly white supremacist publication.
What your grandpa is watching right now.
Man, the head of the EPA is a fucking dick shit asshole, huh?
He sure is. I'm honestly genuinely shocked that the agency has made it this far. I know it'd be kind of a big move for the Trump administration to just axe the whole thing, but why not at this point, right? It's not like any of their base is really going to give a shit if they just get rid of it.
Yep.
Anyway.
Did you guys see the bug article in the New York Times?
The bug
Don't read the bug article in the New York Times.
What's the bug article?
Is it
That
depressing?
sounds right up my alley. Bug article, New York
It's
Times.
actually something called like the insect apocalypse.
Oh, that's
So
exactly
don't
what
read
it.
it.
Is.
It's bad.
Oh, yeah, no, it is bad.
I don't have enough
case-
weed to read that article.
No, it's.
I do.
I'm just gonna
Maybe.
summarize briefly because this is something that I've been like talking about in the Discord a little bit. Basically, like an enormous percentage of invertebrate populations across the world have just disappeared, as in died and are probably going extinct, which is hard to notice because most bugs are kind of small, but it's gonna have like catastrophically negative effects on the entire global ecosystem. So that's another fun thing to look forward
Kind
to.
of the crux of that particular New York Times article, which is the Sarah, can you like put earplugs in or something?
Listen, we're about past the halfway point of this podcast. I can hold out for the back half until I can smoke. Go.
Yeah, okay. So it's that because there's so vastly, like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of different species of bugs, the vast majority of which we don't even know existed. We don't really have, like, we don't really know just how many insects there were before and how many of them have died off.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we
There's
don't
no
know
real
where we
metric
should
for
be.
it.
We're just like kind of noticing little things here and there. It's fine, probably.
It's probably all right.
How many bugs can there be? I can count.
Like,
Do you want a real number on that? Because something tells me you don't.
No, I'm sorry. So apologies for making a bug joke in your presence, Patrick.
I've got to read this number now because I looked it up just to make sure, and it was a full 1,000 times bigger than I thought it was.
Go ahead.
10 quintillion.
that's a lot
Which-
of them.
That's a number that nobody even knows how big that is. Like, a math bitch probably does, but
I mean,
like-
I'm sure
Reach
we'll all see
into
Jeff
your
Bezos
local dirt
reach that
and you
level
may
of reach that
find
amount of
10
dollars in our lifetime.
Quintillion
Yeah.
and boys.
bugs are good. That's my take.
So the migrant caravan reached the Mexican-American border.
It did. And then the U.S. did some war crimes.
Yep. We tear gassed a shitload of children.
Not only did we tear gas children, but we also, through just ignoring the weather, managed to tear gas a big portion of, the Mexican side of the border, which is explicitly illegal according to international law.
If there's one thing
Yeah,
the
and
United
us.
States
The
never does.
The current administration
Yeah.
will face literally no repercussions for this whatsoever, and it's completely fine.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Why would anything ever happen to war criminals? Are we still a part of the United Nations?
again,
Can we
this
still be brought up?
It's
Can we
just a
still
total-
be?
It's completely manufactured humanitarian crisis. Trump made this. He has no reason to do this to these people, to send all this force against these people and to
Actually,
target them
Caroline,
specifically. But he had an election,
Caroline.
and he's racist. And yeah, okay, I'm listening.
Caroline, he has a very valid reason.
He's valid.
It's that they're brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what all of his screaming hog voter base wants to see, is him doing weapons on brown children. That's
Black and brown people.
they love it. They unironically adore that shit, and that's what's gonna win him
This
the election again.
and this
I saw a
actually
couple
dovetails
of
pretty
posts-
nicely with our earlier climate apocalypse discussion, because a lot of the Earth is going to become uninhabitable. Some very densely populated areas of the Earth are going to be uninhabitable in 20, 30 years time. And
Yeah, but
there's
Caroline, when that happens, you just sell your fucking house. If your house is underwater, fucking sell your house.
Oh, that tweet was so
Yeah.
fucking stupid, Jesus.
Well, no,
I'm
there was a
sorry. I was
tweet and a
thinking
video.
with my
The tweet
feelings
was-
instead of my facts.
Yeah, the tweet you're thinking of is the Jacob Wohl tweet, where he said that if the water level rises about 10 feet, we can do travel above above Europe or whatever. I don't even fucking remember. It would melt some ice caps or shit, and we'd be able to send some ships somewhere. which would be great for trade. But then also Ben Shapiro said that people whose houses are underwater, just sell them and move somewhere else. So Patrick,
wait, that's
Patrick.
that's literally the Always Sunny episode where Dennis is trying to sell his Range Rover that he drove into the harbor, and he's like, "You have to go get it though." Like this halfway submerged car. That's logic.
I mean, Patrick, I have a house to sell
sir.
you. Do you think you can give me like basically market value? It's a little bit underwater, but only like half of the first floor. How much do you think you got for that? How much do you think you can get for that?
Well, I will take it at whatever you want to sell me. I mean, listen, that's as beachfront as it gets right there. I'd be a fool not to.
Beachfront in your house. Put some sand on the stairs, kids. We're not going anywhere today.
It's beachfront sides and back.
That's gonna be a real thing in 50 years.
Isn't beach house like a genre of music?
It's a band.
Probably.
Oh, it's a band. It's a band. Thank you.
It's a
I knew it
dream
was
pop
music.
band. It's very good. I like them.
Beach house coming soon. Hold on. I'm in the equations lady right now. Give me 2 seconds to figure out a joke here.
Insert the Jeopardy theme here.
Bella the Lifeguard's Dead. Bella the Lifeguard's Dead by Beach House.
All right, sure, I'll take it.
Was worth it.
It's really good. That joke burst from Sarah's head, like Athena from Zeus's.
God damn it! I was gonna say exactly that.
All right, now do we want to talk about Cindy Hyde-Smith?
Miss Hyde-Smith. I think we actually missed this entirely because this story broke it would have been something we discussed last week.
Yeah.
But basically, Cindy Hyde-Smith is running for Senate, right?
No longer running. She won.
Was running for Senate in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about the question marks. I'm just double checking. Cindy Hyde-Smith was running for the Senate in Mississippi, and she basically said at a public forum that if one of her supporters invited her to a lynching, she would be in the front row.
The words she used were public hanging, but being Mississippi and her being her,
and also given the history of Mississippi.
Yes.
So even if it was any state in the world, any state in the country, you say that. That's really fucking bad. But, she picked one of the worst ones to say it in.
Top 10 states you cannot say you want to watch a lynching in. This is my new BuzzFeed listicle.
Now, it's more of a Watch Mojo. BuzzFeed doesn't really do with top 10s. BuzzFeed does, top 17 states you shouldn't say you want to see a person hanged in.
So she won, thanks to...
It was a close race.
I'd like to talk a little bit about. There's more to the Sidney Hyde racially charged, which is an adjective that is completely bullshit that the media likes to use when they word racist, because it's not nice to use the word racist. So what really got to my attention, besides the jaw-droppingly tone-deaf, obvious racist public hanging comment, is that she straight up refused. She just doubled down afterwards. She refused to admit that there would be anything remotely you could read anything into that
about it.
She said there was photos of her posing, dressed, doing Confederate cosplay. It says Confederate soldier, which is fine. She said something along the lines of we want to make some of those liberal college students, we want to make, maybe it's a great idea to make it a little bit harder for them to vote and stuff like that. And she's just that's just a joke, despite the very obvious and very recent and ongoing history of voter suppression in Mississippi. And she herself attended and sent her daughter to something called a segregation academy, which were private schools open.
Sorry?
Excuse me?
I just did the Tails got trolled face in real life.
This is what they're the name of the school is not Segregation Academy, but after Brown versus Board passed, there are these very obvious, like, de facto segregation private schools because the decision did not apply to private schools, where that they just a ton of these opened in 1970 as soon as Brown v. Board, or not as soon as Mississippi was officially ordered to desegregate its schools.
1970. 1970.
I've got a fun story about that too, but
oh my god!
I have my
own
pipe. So, not only did she go to one of these when she was like growing up, she sent her daughter to one now, like the same school.
Cool.
That opened for like the explicit purpose of giving white parents an option to not have to racially integrate their children. So I myself, I went to a private school in the city of Columbus, Ohio, for high school, and it fucking sucked ass. I mean, like, it's a really good school, like, academically, but everything else just fucking sucked ass. It wasn't good to me. Not fun. But there was lots of pomp and circumstance and all this, and they would, like, every year they would the alumnus of the year, and they were giving a presentation about this to us one year, and they mentioned that the alumnus they were honoring, was like, after deliberation amongst, like, the administration, the first black student to be admitted to the school in Columbus, Ohio, in wait for it, 1970. Remember that Ohio had been, like, public, and they mentioned this as, like, they mentioned this in the presentation as, like, this was such, like, an important step for us going forward, and they weren't commenting on the absolute insanity of not being desegregated in the year 1970.
Yeah, that's
in a state where
wild.
Brown v. Board never even applied because it had already been desegregated. I mean, like, de jure, obviously not de facto. Like, racism is everywhere in the states, which is obvious. And segregation happens Columbus is still, like, a pretty one of the more segregated cities, up there with I forget what the most segregated city in the United States is. I think it's in Wisconsin. But it's bad. And also, as an aside, the Democratic nominee, Mike Epsy, is an African-American man who was one of the first to integrate in a public school, like, around the same time. And he mentioned something about having to physically, like, defend himself, like, with sticks, like the white students who would be coming at him trying to attack him just for going to school.
Jesus.
He came kind of close to pulling that out. He came in with, like,
it was
45%.
It was a runoff, and it was close.
Yeah. So, a little bit heartbreaking to see him get so close and, you know, not quite crest that hill. No fault of his own, of course, you know, voter suppression and everything. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But reminds me of this really good what's the subreddit? I can't remember the name of it. It's like a pun on werewolves, and it's like self-aware wolves, I think. About conservatives who are, like, just on the verge of getting it. Also, check out the Twitter at close but no potato.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's a good one.
But the tweet of just, like, how many elections were flipped from R to D by suddenly found votes? 14. How many flipped from Democrat to Republican? None. This is a
weird
conspiracy. And, like, yeah. Huh.
It's weird how when you let more and more varied people vote, it tends to move left.
It's weird how when votes are allowed to actually count, the things actually, like, move left. Like, when some people who had been, like, previously not allowed to vote, but now they are allowed to vote, like, these people just think that, like, they're just, like, unloading the Democratic votes off of a fucking truck, and it's just like,
I've got to say that I am a huge fan
Yeah,
of Trump's new
crazy.
thing where he thinks that counting mailed-in ballots after the polls close, which is the only time that I think you can count mail-in ballots, like since time immemorial, is like cheating.
I missed that.
Like just elections functioning like as procedural dictates is fake, or who knows what the president.
I'm gonna need y'all real quick to just pour one out for my man Smile. He just ate a stink bug, and I feel very bad for him. A stink bug found its way into his tank, and he chomped on it, and he seems to be okay, but I cannot imagine that flavor profile is very good.
Did the listeners know who that is?
What's that?
Did the listeners know who that is?
Oh, Smile is my bearded dragon, to be clear.
just a random man that Sarah keeps in a tank in a room.
Just a small man, and I call him Smile.
All right, what else is on the docket here?
The
cool.
Epstein article.
Oh yeah, all right. So
I don't know. I literally don't know anything about this.
I mean, this is kind of a
Yeah,
short one.
I
don't
put
want
this on the doc.
Yeah, these are
thinking that I would
all
read
short
the
ones at the
article
end
by the
here.
time the episode, but I've skimmed it, and there's nothing new to talk about. Just that, well, like there is new stuff in the article based on like the extent of the cover up, and it's just really shockingly, it's fucking bad. But it's just a reminder that like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, bunch of these hiring.
Yeah,
people
every shithead in that upper echelon of power is a horrific monster, and like you can't really achieve
They're
progress
all one
as
day
long as
Pokemon going to die, and that's not a threat, just a fact.
that is. You know what? That's true. That's the light at the end of the tunnel. Is that one day all those people will be dead and in the ground.
So, what
yeah.
else?
So we have. Do you want to?
ICE murdered a trans woman.
Yeah. So they
fun.
like
Jesus Christ.
abused and murdered her.
A trans woman died in the custody of ICE, and I mean, ICE murdered a trans woman. The state murdered a trans woman, and it's just fucking unbelievable. I mean, it's believable. It's fully believable. It's completely believable that ICE would do something like this, but like, man,
Yeah.
my heart aches.
It was reported that she died, I think, a couple months ago, but the news this week is that she was being physically in custody, which
I think
obviously
like deprived of food and water also. Which I mean it's gonna keep happening as long
Abolish
as that...
ICE and prosecute every single person who currently works for ICE, and by prosecute I mean just
hog.
maybe consider breaking out that patent that at LEYAN is often posting.
Yeah, just bury them up to their necks in the Mojave and leave them there. That's my take, I think.
Yeah, they deserve that. Not a threat, just a fact.
Just
It's
an
not
opinion.
a threat, just to say what they morally deserve.
Yeah. And lastly, not like this is not political, but we want to talk about it because
Yeah, it's a big thing, especially
really
for
big
people
thing
of our age
generation.
bracket.
Yeah. But we just want to talk about the death of Steven Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants. I really don't know what to say. SpongeBob SquarePants was just like an integral part of my youth. Like,
Yeah, I think
I don't know a single person within 10 years of me either way whose like sense of humor has not been immensely shaped by SpongeBob SquarePants in some way, shape, or form.
Right, yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Hillenburg, he was kind of young. He was 57, and he died from complications with ALS. Yeah, 2 years after he has announced that he was diagnosed. Which, we don't really have a lot to say about this. I think there's not really a lot to say other
It's just
than
really sad because a lot of people have been saying this, and I agree with. It's a sentiment that I agree with. I have never seen a single piece of media unify a generation the way that SpongeBob SquarePants did for ours. I don't think there's any piece of media. Maybe you could argue the Beatles for the people who lived through that time. I think would probably be a pretty good argument, but like no other source of media has provided such like a singular cultural touchstone. You talk to almost any person within 5 years of me, they will know what SpongeBob is. They will have a favorite episode. And they will be able to rattle off a quote at some variety.
Yeah, and like the thing is also...
Oh, go on.
like any animated show that's running on Cartoon Network or Nick or Disney or whatever, like everybody who's working on those shows either worked on SpongeBob or was like mentored by someone who did, or just knew somebody who did. It's been like absolutely probably the most impactful like work of animation since like fucking Disney was kicking around with Snow White. Like and that sounds kind of like an overstatement, but it's not. It's been running for 20 years. It's one of the longest running television programs, like period, especially for an animated American television show.
I think the Simpsons has been running longer, and like that's it for animated
Yeah, I mean
shows?
there are a handful. I think like there's one Japanese anime that's
Oh
been going for like
Detective Conan
50 years or whatever.
Longer than SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yes, but as far as like
personal
popular...
favorite in my trans awakening, Detective Conan.
Yeah, so like Sarah said, it's not exactly political, but we thought it was kind of a big deal, especially for our audience. So,
and in memoriam, I just kind of wanted to just quick round table, like what is just like a very, very funny moment from SpongeBob that just is stuck in your craw, because to me it's in the I can't remember the name of the episode, the chocolate selling episode, where Patrick and SpongeBob are commiserating over the fact that they can't sell a single bar of chocolate, and the look on Patrick's face when he runs out the door and says, "I'm gonna go buy more bags," is just, it's burned into my head. That single tooth, that like frozen position. I
mean, for me, my like
Band Geeks is not you're not allowed to say Band Geeks.
I wasn't going to.
I'm just putting this out there.
My like immediate sense memory of it is the "No, this is Patrick" sequence. Because as close listeners might know, that's my human name. So when I like so when I got a cell phone, I think maybe at least 3 times a day, every day, for like a good 4 months, I would get a call from one of my shithead friends asking for the Krusty Krab. So that's just gonna be part of my life forever.
Yep.
What about you, Caroline?
I just had it and I lost it and I'm trying to find it.
Well, while you're thinking about that, I think we can move into like I said, we're kind of phasing back the questions so that they're pretty much exclusively a mailbag thing, unless a particularly salient one pops in the inbox. I'm looking right now, and these all look like questions that we will be tackling on the mailbag. Yeah, so we'll be tackling questions. Oh, Jesus, shit. Did we do a mailbag this month yet?
I don't think we have.
Shit.
I don't think we did last month either, because we just didn't really have any questions. But this time we do. So listen, dear listeners, I can't promise you we're going to get one out in the next day. 20 calendar hours, but I'm sure we'll have one pretty soon in December. So
yeah,
don't worry about that.
We'll probably double up for December to make up for it. Like,
yeah, and I think what we're gonna do, probably we've been kicking this around, is like we're not gonna necessarily do a mailbag every month. We're gonna do a mailbag when there is like a critical mass of questions that'll be worth sitting down for an hour or however long to record.
Yeah, well, that's not set in stone. That is still something that we're kind of like kicking around, but like that is a consideration. So, I mean, if we don't need to do a mailbag, obviously we won't do a mailbag. But like, send your questions in, get them in. Well, and if it's germane to the week, we'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. Probably. No guarantees. But in that case, you want to move on to Lightbringers?
Yeah.
So my Lightbringer this week is so my bearded dragon. His name is Smile, and he is my favorite little boy. And while he has brought me a lot of light in these very dark times, he's not my Lightbringer this week. And I'm going to bring a Lightbringer that I may have brought before, but I think I brought it before I had finished watching the entire series. My Lightbringer this week is going to be Ping Pong the Animation. Which is a story about 2 childhood friends who are very good at ping pong, and they're just trying to get better at ping pong. It's a sports anime, and it is literally one of the best animes I've ever seen in my entire life. The animation style is so unique, and is not afraid to live in squashes and stretches, and like it looks so. Like at times it looks just gorgeously ugly. If you are needing a selling point, if you're hearing this and you're thinking this sounds kind of okay, I implore you, go on YouTube, just watch the opening. It's also one of my top 5 of all time, like up there with the Cowboy Bebop intro. But yeah, Ping Pong the Animation, and the reason that I mentioned Smile is because the main character in that show, his name is Tsukimoto, but his nickname is Smile, and I named my little boy after him.
All right. All right, so before I get into my Lightbringer, I need to make it expressly clear that I don't recommend this, and I don't personally enjoy it, but somebody has to do it, and somebody has to talk about it. So over the last couple weeks, if you follow me on Twitter, you might know this, I've been diving in to TikTok.
Oh my god.
Not making them, but just kind of like absorbing the culture.
You're the Jane Goodall of TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. I'm living amongst the chimps of TikTok, and it's a truly horrific experience that will almost certainly kill me. But it's been indescribably fun to like see a new emerging internet subculture, even if it's an aberrantly bad one. So if you'd like to follow along with my quote unquote research, I've been posting about it on Tumblr, and I think I might end up writing up like a long form thing to put on our Patreon.
I'm very excited to read that.
It's so fun.
Make sure you go follow Jeff Gersman on TikTok, Fred Durst 2000.
All right, I will do.
Caroline.
Sometimes it's the little things in life, and sometimes it's the big things, and sometimes it's a big cow. I really liked looking at
Big Cow has brought me so much joy.
The cow who is too big to go through the factory farm butchery process. And so he will live forever. He's my god now.
Just become too big to die. He is cow god.
He will be my warlord in the Mad Max future awaiting us very shortly. And I love him.
Oh, I need Knickers to witness me as I shuffle off of this mortal coil.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, that's what he's for. He's
so big he can see me from Australia.
Yeah, exactly. He just kind of glances in your direction.
I want to see a showdown between Knickers and Skull Cow. Two incredible forces in nature.
All right, so let's plug our shit. If you want to support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/fearbaiting, and I have already done for the last time that I did the very funny the very funny one breath bit. I am no longer going to do that because it was funny the first time, and then it got successively less impressive, and then it was just kind of me showing off and being obnoxious. Feel free to dissent at any time, but whatever. But I'm still going to go through the list. If you want to support us, patreon.com/HKIPGTD. $1 a month gets you access to all of our bonus content, and $5 a month gets you your name right on the show and a special user status in the Discord. $10 a month gets you special user status in the Discord, different from the $5 a month one, and you get to listen live to our podcast. So, thank you very much to... Man, I think people changed their names thinking I was still doing the long shit. Thank you to HE Double Hockey Sticks, Fully Automated Luxury Gay Space Hellcat, Stephanie Ruff, Ashinu, Pregnant Seinfeld, David Besser, Alex Schaup, Oingo Zuma Kua Boingo, Six Armed Sweater, Leaf Crunch, Lowe, Bryant Alvarez, Mogu the Panda, Nick Clarkson, Kadeho Jones, Florian Siegel, Flo Siegel, Sophie, Destry Hawk, Single Payer Sonic Emperor, PR the Disaster, John McCain Funeral City 350 Million Dead, The Tallest Jew, Michael Weems, Surrey Jack, Non-Binary with Left Beef, Hank Hill's Hentai Hankering, Summer Geist, Helga K, Mr. Big the Cat, Harry Tomlinson, Dijonais, Actual Socialist Elon Musk, Garfield Hentai, Benjamin Kingstone Faria, Scout Shiro, Petaz, Evan, Ollie Anders, and Ellen the Anarcho Lalandias. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We love you.
Our theme is by the Taxpayers.
It's the song Evil Men off of the album Cold Hearted Town, right? Yeah,
yes.
Cold Hearted Town. Had to double check real quick.
No, yes. Sorry,
yeah.
I got it confused with the Mabim Bam one for a second.
Mabim Bam doesn't...
I know they don't.
Okay.
I know. No, I thought it was an entirely separate album by an entirely separate band. Continue.
Okay, sure. But if you want to find us, we're HKIPGTD everywhere. Facebook, don't use Facebook. Twitter, Tumblr, Reddit. Thank you to Reddit user Bisexual Punch Party for setting that up and maintaining that for us. You are a saint, and we love you. If you want to join the Discord, it's attached to every episode, I think, and it's also on our Twitter and our Tumblr. So go there, join the Discord. We'd love to have you. We have a ton of fun in there. If you want to find me, I can be found at SunhatZhenya on Twitter. That's SUNHATZHENYA. That's where I am pretty much everywhere. That's where I am on Twitch, where I've been streaming a little bit more frequently lately. That's where I am on Mastodon. I'm SunhatZhenya at snouts.online. I can be found on Tumblr at Chie Satanakas. What, did Snouts.online get a chuckle out of you there, Patrick?
Yeah.
It's a good server name.
I'm Patrick. You can find me pretty much anywhere.
Oh wait, sorry, I forgot to do my other podcasts.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
You can listen to me talk about horror movies with my friend Blair, and sometimes there's guests over at Fear Baiting, and you can listen to me and Blair and our friend Seda talk about Animorphs on the Wonder Years. And I really cannot recommend listening to this week's episode enough because it is a really fucking good one.
Both podcasts now on the Noise Space Network.
Yes, thank you so much, Noise Space.
So I have been Patrick. You can find me pretty much anywhere on the internet, including now TikTok, under the username PG1497.
And I'm Caroline, and I am on Twitter at CSavage with 2 V's.
All right.
Yay.
Memento Pokemori.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die. Not a threat.
Just a fact.
Just a fact.
Memento Wait, hold on. Everyone say it together.
Memento
Pokemori. Aloha.
I'm not doing that.
Alola. All right.
Wingardium Pokemori.